we're going to talk about what Tim Davie has said. This is the Director General of the BBC, and the Conservatives apparently have railed against what he said already, because Tim Davie, who is the Director General, has floated the idea of wealthier Britons being made to pay a higher BBC licence fee. He said the corporation is looking at licence fee non-payment and whether criminalisation is actually the best option to enforce compliance. I mean, there's some crazy statistic about our magistrates' courts. I think it's over half the cases in magistrates' courts are about people not paying their licence fee. And he's told the Royal Television Society, this is Tim Davie, the Director General of the BBC, there's no doubt that the market has changed hugely since the licence fee was introduced, and I think it's right to ask fundamental questions about its longevity. Well, one person who knows all about this, in fact, he's written a brand new book on it. It's called How Do We Pay for the BBC After 2027? He's a former BBC producer. His name is John Mair. John, you're very welcome to the programme. It was good to see in person a few weeks ago as well. We bumped into each other at an event. How should we pay for the BBC, do you think? Do you think it's fair to have a sort of sliding scale of a licence fee, or should it be a flat fee, John?
Peter, look, this is a tax. This is a regressive tax at the moment. All taxes are progressive, usually, in the modern world. Council taxes, income taxes. What are the Tories going on about? You know, rich people should pay more, poor people less. But I do actually think that Tim rather bottled it yesterday. I was there, and I thought he bottled it. I thought he's wedded to the licence fee. I don't know why. He just wouldn't consider an alternative to it. Advertising, it's out. I mean, if there's advertising, you lot will be out of business on the BBC. But, you know, he should think about some form of a hybrid where the BBC actually has some form of subscription on the iPlayer to make its money out of its intellectual property. It has a huge intellectual property. It's the National TV Archive. Why doesn't it use that? Why doesn't it have specialist channels? Dad's Army, sport, and things like that. You know, he bottled out of that. He said that he called them walled gardens. Well, they're not actually. And I mean, I put it to him personally. I said, look, Tim, 23 million people subscribe to Sky and 19 million to Netflix. And he said, so what?
So I mean, what? You know,
well, so that was his reaction to me. I know him quite well, so I took it from him. And you know, he also said, "Look, hybrid. We already have hybrids. We have hybrids. You know, we have GB. We have the other TV stations and so on." He said, and I said, "No, that isn't hybrid. No, they really will have to be more imaginative about the license. They will not make huge amounts of money out of BBC studios. They only pay 300 million a year to the BBC.
So it's probably...
It's 3.8 million a year. Where are they going to get that money from? The license fee cannot really go up much more. I mean, my view is it should actually go down to 100 quid, a basic license fee, and then you pay for anything else the other side of the iPlayer. So, you know, you make money out of your intellectual property.
And it's actually going up on the 1st of April, John. It's going to rise to £169.50. So your plan would be to charge sort of flat fee of £100, and then you pay maybe a bit extra for the iPlayer if you wanted. Is that right?
£100, you get all the services, but you get them once.
Okay.
If you want the price or more, you go to the other side of the iPlayer.
What about? I've always thought. I thought. I mean, look, when the internet was, when the World Wide Web, I suppose, was starting, and newspapers were going on the World Wide Web and so on. I found it weird that there wasn't some sort of idea about almost a kind. You know, like iTunes, you buy one song on iTunes. You don't have to pay the whole album. You don't have to pay a subscription to iTunes. You just pay sort of 99p or 79p or whatever. I thought with an article, or perhaps even a television programme, would it not make sense to say, right, we're going to pay 5p an article or even 1p an article? Is there, you know, would that sort of system
work? And why not? And if you're a specialist in Dad's Army, or a specialist, if you want to see the proms, you pay a little bit of money to the BBC. The other side of the iPlayer, make the iPlayer a paywall and actually charge people to go to the other side of that paywall.
What about the stuff
and then you could actually afford decent sport, decent drama and everything else. So, you know, Tim bottled it a bit, you know.
Yeah, John, what about the stuff, I just want to ask you about the stuff that's less popular, the stuff that only the BBC does, that's very, very specialist things like often, well, you know the types, children's programming, for example, news as part of the Ofcom remit and so on, and that would be funded through this, you think, in your idea, in your model?
Funded through a licence fee, but you know, things which are specialist, which people want. You know, natural history. If you're heavily into natural history, you can watch it once on on the main channel. But if you want a natural history channel, pay some money for it. People will, people pay for Netflix. He was going on about Disney. Disney was gave all this money for Doctor Who. Well, Disney are in trouble, and Disney are not going to subsidise the BBC forever and a day.
Yeah. John, you speak a lot of sense, and we've had a much more agreeable chat, I think, than perhaps the last time when we clashed quite dramatically.
Well, that was probably over a glass of wine, Peter.
Thank you very much indeed. That is John Mair, who is editor of a brand new book, How Do We Pay for the BBC After 2027? That's when the licence fee is coming up again.